everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey. This is Moose, and Moose is my task trained service dog. If you are new here, we started his service dog training when he was about between 3 and 5 months. I'm not exactly sure, but when he was between 3 and 5 months old, we started his service dog training, and he is currently 3 years old. Yeah, you are. Such a good boy. And one of the first things that Moose learned in his service dog training was deep pressure therapy, aka DPT, and so that is going to be today's video. I'm going to show you guys how to train deep pressure therapy. I know as an owner trainer just starting out, there is a lot of information and you're trying to train your own service dog, and that's just overwhelming in and of itself. And I know I went to YouTube and the internet to figure out just what could I do by myself, what could I teach my dog by myself, and I came across a few things on the internet just about training tasks by yourself, but a lot of them were not broken down step by step. So that is going to be today's video for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you find it helpful, especially for all of my fellow owner trainers out there. I really hope that this is just broken down for you guys and is just really helpful overall. So if you like today's video, then you should definitely give it a thumbs up, and you should subscribe down below. Stick around. I am planning to do more how to train this task kind of videos, so make sure you stick around and subscribe, and you can join our Positive Purpose fam. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So first thing is first, and your dog needs to know basic commands before you even begin task training. And to start training DPT, your dog needs to know a lay down command. The basics are so foundational to service dog training, and if you want a solid deep pressure therapy task, then you need to have a solid lay down command. So start there. If your dog does not know lay down or it's not very solid, just really work on that, and then you can start DPT training. The only other things you'll need is treats. So I have mine here for Moose, and then some sort of marker to indicate that, you know, you did a good job, you did what I want. Here comes a reward. I now just use a marker, like a verbal marker, yes, but when I started training Moose, I really liked clicker training. That really worked for us until we didn't need it anymore, so now I just use verbal. But yeah, that's where we're gonna start. And then to actually start training DPT, where you are wanting to start is by luring. And if you don't know what luring is, it's where you take a treat that your dog will be very interested in, and say you want your dog to go this way, you'll put like the treat in front of their nose and just pull it slowly where they can sniff it, but they can't get it yet until they've completed what you've done. So basically you're luring the dog to do what you want. So just a quick explanation of that if you are not familiar with luring at all. So I'm going to demonstrate with Moose luring, and then we will get into the next step. Alright, so I have treats in my hand, and Moose is very interested in them. So what I'm going to do is stay close to his nose and basically like lure him down. Yes, and mark. I will say Moose does know it, so it may not be as easy as that, but I mean, he's 3 years old. We've been doing this for almost 3 years, but essentially that's what I would do, is just put it close to his nose and then like just lure down until he fell onto my lap. Also, if your dog only has the front of his body on your legs and not like the full of his body, reward that. We are starting small, and it is probably very unnatural, very weird for your dog to lay on you perhaps. So even if it's small, reward that. And then I have a breakaway command for Moose. So off. Yes. And I reward for that too, or I did when I started training. You could also just take a treat and throw it. so they will get off you, and then you can start with that command. But yeah, so that is essentially the first step of luring for DPT. So some indicators that you are ready to move on from the luring stage is that you don't have to lure your dog so closely, you don't have to guide them step by step. Maybe you have a treat in your hand and you just kind of quickly motion what you want and they follow that. Then maybe you graduated to not having a treat in your hand at all, but you just do the motion and your dog is getting that, and then you started to add the command. I think the biggest thing for any of these stages is practice, practice, repetition, 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 and this does not have to be for very long at all. I think when I was training Moose DPT, I did it twice a day, maybe for 10-15 minutes, and in that time we would also train other things too, but just the consistency, twice a day, every day, and I really saw progress. So it does not have to be very long training sessions, but just enough and to be consistent where it turns into muscle memory and you will for sure see progress. So now that you are coming out of the luring stage, you are moving into the command stage where you are just more so relying on commands than luring or emotion. Maybe you are just pointing, but in this stage you are really practicing just using the command. I use the word cover. Moose looked at me, he's laying down right here, but cover is the word that I would use, and I would mark it and then say off was my release command and throw a treat for him to get off. So you are practicing just commands and really moving away from hand motions and luring, and I would demonstrate that, but I actually have a clip that I filmed from when I was living in New York training Moose in my little apartment bedroom. So I will insert that here of kind of what this stage looks like. Off. Cover. Off. 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 Cover. Off. So that is what this next stage should start looking like. I am not perfect in that video. Moose is not perfect, but we are working through it. You can see that I am still pointing to the floor, but it's not a huge motion. I am more so relying on my commands, which are cover, and then for release, I'm using the word off. He is slower to it, but that is part of the process. And then the next stage, which I kind of show in that clip, is duration. So at first, you know, as soon as your dog puts their weight on you, mark it and release. They do not need to be laying there at first for a full minute or anything like that. We work our way up to that kind of stuff. So as you can see there, I start, you know, Moose is doing pretty well with the commands. Then I just start marking duration if he gives that to me and just mixing it up. One time, as soon as he puts his weight on me, I'm going to mark it and release him. The next time, I'm going to count to 5 and then release him. The next time, maybe 10 seconds, and then the next time 3 seconds, immediately. Just switch it up. So that is what the progression of DPT training is looking like at this point. So we moved on from luring to commands to duration. So once your service dog in training is solid, pretty solid, and consistent in those, you are consistent in marking and just training this consistent consistently every day, even if just for a few minutes every day. We are now going to start working on DPT in different positions. And what I mean by that is that I started Moose with laying across my lap, and then further down the line, once that was pretty solid, then I trained him to lay up my body, so where his head would rest on my chest and he is laying like in between my legs. So that is something that you have to train, and it is kind of like a new experience, not fully, but a new experience for your dog. I know at first when I was training Moose to lay up me, that he was very like, what in the world is this? And it was almost like training DPT from the beginning, starting with the luring, but it was a lot quicker because he has done it before laying across my lap. So we just want to make sure that we are training every possible scenario. So however many positions you want your dog to lay on you for DPT, you can start introducing those different positions. Again, it is kind of different for your dog, but the process going from luring to command is going to be a lot faster. So that is pretty much the whole DPT training process, from where do I start to training your dog to lay in different positions on you. I will just say lastly, I know I've said this throughout the video, but I just can't express enough how important consistency and repetition is to your training progress. Even if it is just a few minutes, twice a day, once a day, whatever it is, that you are just consistent, because it really does make a difference. And then also just to be consistent in your marking, so whether that is clicker training or you're doing verbal marks like the word yes, that they mean the same thing every time. If you click or you verbally mark and that is supposed to mean you're doing it right, you're getting a treat, then make sure that means that every single time. I know that I have mismarked something and I would like freak out, like, oh no, he's gonna be so confused. If you do it once, it's a mistake. If you consistently do it over and over, then that is confusing. And if you accidentally mismark, then you are not going to ruin your dog. But yeah, I hope you liked this video and found it helpful, especially to my fellow owner trainers out there. I know how hard that is, or even if you are just curious about the deep pressure therapy training process. I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below, or you can always message us on our Instagram, which is at The Paws of Purpose. And make sure you stick around because I am planning to film a couple more how-to task training videos, so stick around. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye, friends.